Uh, so on several levels, on a personal level, I was a student in one of Yuri Treisman's programs at Berkeley as an undergraduate. So when I heard that he was speaking here, I thought, oh, cool, it'd be nice to see what he's doing now and just to hear his thoughts on this, this movement of rethinking how math is taught, in general and then within the community college, and how that affects our mission at my community college. On a professional level, we're part of the district that has become one of the centers of acceleration, and so our college has not yet jumped onto that. So I'm trying to figure out ways and trying to learn more about it so that I can sell this on our campus and try to figure out a way to get this acceleration, at least piloted on our campus, and just to see how students benefit from that, and if they do benefit from it, but just to get that conversation going.
Okay, and so curricular redesign, what does that mean to you?
Well, curricular redesign, having been to a few of these conferences already that are sponsored by the 3CSN program and the network, just hearing about this whole idea of having all these all these points that actually create obstacles and barriers, and the more choice points, I forget what the actual term was, but the more nodes where students have to choose of, or have a choice of passing, failing, choice, or even just enrolling, just having all these steps, and how those steps create ladders where it increases the failure rate, and how that's the traditional method of teaching math, institutionally. So looking at the redesign of that model where you have pre-algebra, or arithmetic, pre-algebra, algebra 1, algebra 2, and then trying to compress that so that you don't have as many of these exit points, but you can still deliver quality instruction and still have students get through that material and still get into that college level statistics, or maybe into even a STEM class, if there's a way to do that with this, into the STEM class, a STEM level mathematics, or to the STEM level path. Then that's something that's worth looking into, especially if it can save those 80% that eventually do drop out. Looking at the way percentages just stack up against each other like that.
Cool. So the biggest takeaway that from Yuri or from the session that you went to, was there anything that?
Yeah, personally, just hearing Yuri speak and just to hear his, there's this movie that I was thinking about when I was looking at him speak, Starship Troopers, and there's a character on there, Doogie Howser, where he was this really smart guy who sees the big picture of all these things that are happening and all over the place, and so he can see the movement of it, whereas myself, I'm just one cog in this big movement, but he sees the big picture politically, he sees the big picture historically, and what that did for me was just kind of inspired me again to really think about what we're doing here, or what I'm doing at my college, and even in my own practice and even in my own profession, and to really think about how we're serving our students here in California.
Cool. Last one. He had 5 points that he structured his his speech around. Was one of those points more kind of charging for you, or?
I really, a couple things that stuck out to me for that was the looking at student services. This whole tutoring model, and how he said that, well, tutoring as the way it's currently designed does not work. So you have to think, it's not going to help catch people up. And so just using that as a way, as a way to rethink about how do we actually serve the students, and along with that, creating these vehicles. He talked also about vehicles of instruction that actually match with student skill sets. If you're a rusty student who can get it, but just with a little bit of a push and some required extra assistance, but then you can still get through the regular class, versus a totally, really low-skilled student who just even needs to develop their self-regulation and all that stuff. There's different types of students who need different types of vehicles. And so you have to, as teachers, we have to rethink. We should come at our teaching through that methodology. And then also the other one that stuck out that stuck out for me was the faculty support. And how do we, this kind of change needs a lot of work. But if you're teaching 15 course units a semester, and the grading that goes along with that, and you on top of that, like myself, I have 2 little kids, and you still have to do stuff outside of how do you put in the extra work that's going to need to stop a train, right? It needs a lot of effort to do that. And so how can we work with faculty who want to do this, but at the same time are still trying to teach and affect student lives?
Cool. So I'm going to actually kind of go in here because of her voice in the background. Just actually, I was thinking about one other question I was going to ask. Yeah. And your last statement kind of like hit on that. And we try to get some of the light. Yeah.
All right.
Is so you personally, now that you've been here, like what steps you want to take going forward to work on certain things. Like what support do you need either from your campus or from a network of colleagues outside of your campus so that you can feel that you get that faculty support to stop that moving train?
Yeah. Well, just in our micro area, in our college. So the train at our college I think is, we can, change that train because, I think administration-wise, we have some very supportive deans who are doing that. So that, and then just finding support within your own colleagues, I think, I've started to find that. And so when you ask, well, what kind of support do I need? I think part of the support that I need was just to know that it's possible to do it, and just go ahead and the things that faculty face at one college as far as resistance is just common everywhere, and just to go ahead and to know that you just have to go do it, and just find the path of least resistance, jump onto that, jump into that path, and then still try to make this change. So I think coming to these things, it invigorates me to do that.
Yeah, from today's, the seminar, and the talks of the instructors. Yeah, so I think yes, it would be best if we can see this type of the conference more often in future. Yeah. So then the colleagues, can meet together to, to share each other's, the experience and teaching experience. I like this. Yeah, today's seminar very good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much. It was well organized, excellent speakers. They were well organized with their slides, good content, and I learned a lot. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. May I ask a question?
Sure.
So, what kind of support do you need through a network or in general to continue down the path of some of the things you learned? Or?
At the last session where we learned about the MPS program, the DeAnza, my thought was I would just love to have one of my administrators in the room right now and look at their face, because I can't even imagine, even after they're hearing that it's cost effective, that they would believe it. So I remain a skeptic until it actually happens at our college.
So you mean?
But as far as the MPS program, for say double time in teaching the course, the counselor support, and the extra funds it would take to create such a program, even though it was cost effective because there was such a great amount of student success, I think there's a program like that. I think would be incredibly successful at Santa Rosa Junior College. And whether it would actually get up on the ground, skeptical of that.
So some support that you would need is administrators being
Funding.
introduced.
Administrative funding.
Would it be just funding, or for them to know what's happening?
No, because because all of a sudden it's encompassing so many departments: counseling, tutorial services, administration,
Right.
and faculty.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was just gonna. There's just been so much that's gonna take a lot of time. It's all been really good stuff, but I want to go back and read through what I've got. Just forcing me to think about a lot of things. You know, what our mission is and how to go about fulfilling that. So it's been good. Networking especially has been good.
Yeah, and so on that note about the networking, you know, like, I know there's like CMCQ, there's this particular event. Like, what would you need to kind of like feel that these things can be sustained through, you know, so it's not just, you know.
Oh, you mean networking beyond?
Right.
Well,
Would you be
I
interested
plan
in that?
to do that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, we're exchanging email information and, yeah, wanting to stay connected.
So how would you need support in that kind of like network building and connection?
I'm not sure. I think we're just going to do it independently. But, I only got to know a couple of people here today, and I think partly because I came on my own. I didn't have a group from my own school, and so I didn't stay kind of isolated within my own group. So I got to branch out and meet other people, which was good.
I really appreciated hearing Yuri Treisman and some of the my colleagues and stuff, figuring out how are we going to make a difference. I mean, I think localized we think we make a difference in one or two, and that's important, but I want to think about, you know, how we can systematically contribute to the improvement of math education. And so I think there's some good ideas here, and maybe more networking like this collaboratively. We put our pieces together, just like we ask our students to do. You know, everybody's got a little piece of the pie or the puzzle, and together maybe we're going to figure this out. So I'm pretty excited about the progress and the discussions. I think good questions are essential for leading to good answers.
Okay, so a venue for these, so like a chat room discussion, or would it a radio show, or a CCC Confer conference call? Because you can have those radio call-in shows or whatever. Like, what would be something that you think that you would
Continue to participate in? You
Yeah.
mean like ongoing discussion?
Fire going.
That's tough. Because if it's not an allocated, I'm kind of a time snob. If it doesn't get set aside and it's like I have to be there physically, it's really easy to pass up.
Yeah.